All right, everybody, we're using our school teacher voices today. Yes, we are. All right, we ready down here? Ready down here? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call this meeting of the Elko County School District Board of Trustees to order. Item 1.01 is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd all please rise and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Item 1.02, order and approval of the agenda for possible action.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Moving on, item 1.03, introduction of Elko County School District Student Board Member Andre Hernandez. Andre.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, sure. Everybody, we're using our school teacher voices today.
Hello, my name is.
There we go.
That's a big voice.
Hello, my name is Andre Hernandez. I'm the student body president here at WWHS. I have 6 years of experience in student government. I'm a dedicated leader in creating a fun environment for both students and faculty. Some of my community service projects included 4 years of organizing the school's annual clothing drive, assisting the local recreational director with major events like our community Thanksgiving dinner and our Easter programs that we do every year. Some of my accomplishments are I'm a 5-year wrestler, a 2-year team captain, and a 2-time state placer, 3rd junior year and 4th my senior year, with additional experience in football, golf, and track. I'm committed in representing the student body and maintaining a strong partnership between the school and our local community. Thank you.
All right, let's give Andre a hand. All right, item 1.04, recognition of 2A Nevada State Wrestling 285-pound champion Isaac Sweat. Basically, we want to recognize him for being the state champion there at the 285. And if you come shake everybody's hand. All right, item 1.05, presentation from West Wendover Middle School on building thinking classrooms in mathematics. And that's going to be presented.
Yeah, probably. I have 3 lots of choice. Oh, I'm nervous. Good evening. My name is Hernandez, and I'm the 7th and 8th grade math teacher at West Wendover Middle School. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. As a middle school teacher, one of the biggest challenges we face is helping students become confident problem solvers. Many students have become accustomed to waiting for the teacher to show them exactly what to do before they attempt a problem. When the problems become difficult, they often hesitate to try because they're afraid of being wrong. This year, we began implementing strategies from the book, that's it over there, Building Thinking Classrooms in Mathematics by Dr. Peter Wilsdal, if I pronounced it wrong, I'm wrong. The goal of this approach is to shift the classroom from teacher-centered instruction to student thinking and problem solving. In this model, students work in completely random groups that change every day. This encourages them to collaborate with different classmates and learn to communicate mathematical ideas, and we found that it works in all of the subjects with a variety of peers. Students also work at a standing at a vertical whiteboard surface, which increases engagement and allows both the teacher and other students to easily see and discuss different strategies. So my classroom, at least my classroom, is covered with whiteboard surfaces all the way around now. And so I put them in around in groups, and they found 3 was the best. And so I have them standing and they're working on problem solving. And then one of the strategies is to mobilize data. So if they're struggling with something, sometimes they'll say, well, let's do a gallery walk, we'll walk through, we'll try something. Rather than simply describing this process, I wanted you to see it in action. I have a small group of students here tonight that are going to come and demonstrate what this looks like in our classroom. So if my students can join me, there is 1 whiteboard marker per group. The thinker is not the writer. So whoever is writing, if they have something to say, they get to pass the marker and then they will write. So our demonstration task tonight, they're going to get on this whiteboard marker on this whiteboard surface. I'm sorry if you all can't see it. 3 numbers add up to 30. So you know we have 3 numbers. 1 number is even. What are an even number, guys? 2, 4, 6. Okay. 1 of the numbers is odd. So what's an odd number? 7. Yes, but what other odd numbers? So it's anything that doesn't have a partner, right? So 1, 3, 5. Those ones are odd. Okay. And 1 of the numbers is a multiple of 5. What are the multiples of 5? 5, 10, perfect. Okay, so the 3 numbers are going to add up to 30. So you guys collaborate with each other to come up with 3 numbers. We know one's even, one's odd, and they come up with 30. Go ahead. As my students are doing this, I kind of go from place to place, and instead of keeping them the answer, I might ask them questions that might benefit them. So things like, make sure you remember that we have 3 numbers. Okay, so you might put a place for 3 numbers with an @ sign in them, right?
What were the rules again?
So 1 number is even, 1 number is odd, and 1 number is a multiple of 5. And they must add up to 30. A lot of the tasks that I've used have multiple entry points and multiple exit points. So there's different ways to get to the same place, but it's trying to get kids to think and come up with it and not be wrong. And to collaborate and they work together. And I'm not the one standing just at the front of the room doing all the talking. They're also working with each other. And there's actually more than 1 right answer to this. So, oh, see, I like that you're thinking. We got to 29. What else could we get? One even. And a multiple of 5. So you know, let's try it with 5. Let's put 5 in one of those points. Let's see what we can do with that. Okay, so now we know we gotta have an even one and an odd one, right? So what's an even and an odd? So if we take the 5 out of the 30, then what do we have left? 25. So what's an even number and an odd number that could add up to 25? 10 and 15. So try it. Does it work? Perfect. You guys came up with a great way to do that. There's probably more ways than one. Do you have any questions you want to ask these guys by chance?
I just think that's a fun exercise because it's kind of real world problems you're solving for something instead of just doing a problem. So that's it. Get you some critical thinking. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good
You guys
job.
find that your communication has improved doing it this way?
They're nervous too. I won't lie, they get to be nervous.
Yep, that's understandable.
Oh, great. Great work, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Classrooms. Instead of sitting quietly waiting for the teachers to show them the steps, students are actively thinking, collaborating, and learning from one another. They are learning that it is okay to try, to struggle, and even be wrong, because this is part of real learning. Approaches like building thinking classrooms help move learning away from memorizing procedures and toward developing a confident problem solvers who are willing to tackle challenging problems. These are the kind of skills These are the kinds of skills our students need, not just for classes, but for college careers and life. My goal as a teacher is to not simply to show students how to do math. My goal is to help them become thinkers who believe they are capable of solving difficult problems. The rest of our staff is also trying this striving. Thank you for allowing me to share a small glimpse of what we're learning with you tonight.
Thank you. All right, next we'll move on to item 1.06. Thank you for that. Thank you, students, for your presentation. We'll go to 1.06, presentation from West Wendover High School Skills USA students.
Good evening. I am Spencer Hardman. I've been the welding and building teacher for last 2 years here at West Wendover High School. And I'm going to turn the time over to two of my welders. One is in welding and building class, and let them present what they have.
All right, so hello all of y'all. My name is Joshua Contreras. I am a welding 2 student, and I am also a member of our Skills USA program. So a little bit about me is I've been in welding for 2 years, which doesn't sound like much, but thanks to my instructor, I've learned a lot. I actually placed 5th place in regionals for Skills USA in our welding competition. And I will be heading to state, and I hope to major in welding engineering and hopefully get a job at Elko.
Nice jacket, by the way.
And thank you.
My name is Andres Trujillo. I'm a welding AA student and a construction 2 student. I've been welding for all 4 years of high school and 2 years in construction. I've done multiple projects helping out people in the community, such as just making different parts for different areas around the school, helping others in the community, making the little things such as like the cooking, bag smasher, and also repairing some vehicles, like repairing parts that crack or anything like that, and also helping build out an outhouse, helping for somebody in the community. And after high school, I plan on going and pursuing a career.
All right, and some examples of things we've done for the community or stuff like that. Our construction and welding class both collaborated together to make a ticket booth. As part of our sort of trying to rebuild our football fields and stuff like that, we built a ticket booth, and we hope to build a little archway to right in front of the ticket booth that'll say West Wendover Wolverine sign. Other ways we have helped the community is we helped a farmer in Item.This. We built, or we're currently building, a counterweight for distractor. Other ways is last year, me and seniors from last year, we all built a pillar for the church they're building over by Stone Creek. And we're always constantly doing projects and taking sort of little commissions to help us gain experience. We helped build the brackets for the shot clocks in our gym, and we're open for anything right now, really. As I said before, our Skills USA will be headed down to Reno. I believe On April 6th. On April 6th, we'll be heading down to Reno, where we will compete against a bunch of other schools. And it's not just the same event I've done. I did independent welding, where I got 5th and Mackenzie Gonzalez got 6th place. And so us two, we both will be heading out there. But people like Andres, they will be working in groups to manufacture weld, where they will be prompted to create like a random thing. For example, a couple years ago, they were told to build sort of like a motorcycle stand for repairs and things like that. And we also have one student, Ronnie Escobedo, who will be focusing on welding art. So he's done little projects like flowers. He did a sword and a stone, and he's doing a boat right now for state actually. If y'all would have any questions for me or Andres or Mr. Hart.
Do you have, what's your criteria for picking projects that you help out? Are you looking for more, or is there a way to submit, like if you knew some or somebody needed some help?
Honestly, yeah, right now, it would just be talking to Mr. Hardman, and then Mr. Hardman will be the one that relays it to us, gives us the plans. For example, with that church project, what we had is, we had Mr. Burdell. We had him, he gave us the project, and he gave us pretty much the rundown on what the church wanted, as well as the pastor over at the church. He told us exactly what he was looking for. And pretty much just want to give it to Mr. Hartman, the crew will take care of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What kind of welding are you doing at state? Is it a variety of welding? Have you got specialized welding you're doing in your competitions, both of you?
So for my competition, in regionals we did TIG, or not TIG, we did MIG and stick, and we also did boxer field cutting. Here in state, we'll have to do TIG, possibly aluminum TIG, gas metal arc welding, and stick welding, as well as oxy-fuel cutting. So the difference between mine and this competition is mine would be building a random widget, and they would test our different types of welds. Like they would give us a random plan and have us do vertical up, vertical down, and things like that.
And for us, the only difference is just working together as a team. And it's easier for us to manage it because if one of us can be better at, say, TIG welding and the other one can be better at wire welding. So it makes it easier for us to manage it and what we're going to do on the project.
Do you have all of those available to you at school? Do you have TIG available at Wendover?
So yeah, currently we have Millimatic 225s, which are TIG, stick, and gas metal arc welding. Our biggest problem right now is currently we don't have a welder capable of doing aluminum welding, which is one of the big things that is going to, be tested over at stage. But yeah.
Awesome, good luck.
Any questions?
Go ahead. Go.
Good luck to you and thank you for doing so many community projects.
Would you say going through these programs has got you kind of ready for the workforce too? Like you're going to be able to, once you graduate and everything, be able to jump into something like a good paying job and move up from there? What are you looking at?
Honestly,
There?
I feel like it helps build a good foundation. And obviously we can't say that we know everything already, obviously that. But I would say, confidently say that it helps us build a strong foundation to go into it.
Yeah.
So we'll go into it, we're not shocked by it, and we understand it, and we can also improve our skills overall. Like always, there's always room for improvement.
Just to clarify, I'm sorry, you said that aluminum TIG, you would need a machine for that to be able to practice on. That's what you're missing in your shop currently?
Yes, sir.
Aluminum TIG. For anybody out there that has an aluminum TIG that they might be able to donate, it's aluminum TIG?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Aluminum TIG. Great.
It requires a machine that will produce AC, which is weird because this whole building is run on AC, alternating current, but our welding is wholesale done with EC, direct current. And they need to convert it back into a usable AC as well. So it's a little more expensive. So we weren't able to put that in the budget when we, the severed steel helped us rebuild the shop and get going. Yeah, so, cool.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well done. Good luck.
right, next, we've got item 1.07. That's recognition of Peppermill casinos for middle school intramurals donation. That's a non-action item. I have got do we have Greg Stroller and Aaron Crozier here? Yeah, guys, come on up. We're gonna give us something to read here. As you know, our recent budget challenges have forced us to make some incredibly difficult decisions. One prospect we face was the potential loss of our middle school intramural program. For our students, these programs are more than just after-school activities. They're where they find their community, build their confidence, and stay engaged with their school. Thanks to the swift and generous intervention of our community partners, our intramural program is secure for the next 3 years. My absolute privilege to recognize Peppermill Resorts for their financial contribution. Greg Strother and Aaron Crozier are here this evening to represent Peppermill Resorts and their sincere commitment to our school district. They provided the critical contribution needed to bridge our budget gap and keep our intramural program running. Greg and Aaron, on behalf of the Elko County School District, our coaches, family, and most importantly, the hundreds of students who will now get to play this year, thank you. You didn't just give a donation, you saved a program that is vital to the middle school experience. Please join me in a heartfelt thank you to Greg and Aaron. I'm going to stand for that, but like this board, if you guys can join us back here, we're going to get a quick photo. If I can have everybody just on the outside edge. It's all back. Come on, guys. Okay, now we will move on to item 1.08. It's input from the public. This is a period devoted to comments by the general public, if any. In the interest of privacy and due process, the public is requested to not raise personnel issues except in a legally noticed closed personnel session of the board. Comments are limited to 3 consecutive minutes. The speaker's time may not be reserved, divided, apportioned, or deferred. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been included specifically on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. I have one comment here that's been submitted, was set for us.
Thank you for letting me speak for a moment. My name is Lisa Price. I am the West Wendover High School Booster Club representative. After 29 years of hoping and wishing to have our facilities improved, we have decided to proceed with a major fundraising campaign. Phase 1, which includes new fencing and bleachers, will cost approximately $300,000. Due to our bleachers not having been ADA compliant, they are a top priority for us. Our community is more than just a town. We are a family who wants more for our children, not only inside of the school building, but outside of the school building. We want our grandparents, our family members that are unable to walk to our field or might need a little bit more assistance to be present at our functions on the football field. Our community members needed clarification and had a little concern over a recent Elko High School Booster Club post. And I quote, "The Elko Athletics Booster Club presented the project and is working in partnership with Elko County School District and Elko High School to rebuild Warrior Field and create a modern facility for our students and the community." This was posted on Elko High School's Athletic Booster Club Facebook page. Due to the fact that our school has never had ADA bleachers for our community members that need that assistance, a ADA walkway from the top of the school to the football and soccer field, ADA restrooms, or a track in the 29 years that our school's been open, our community would like to know what is the extent of this partnership that was stated inside of Elko High School's Facebook post. We really want to hit hard that our community needs ADA facilities. We have so many community members that don't come to our events on the football or soccer field that have never been able to because we don't have the facilities. And I know that our district right now is in a financial hardship, but we just want to make our voice known and heard that we deeply care about those people who are not able to use our facility, or even our students that can't come down to our facility because our facility is not at all ADA compliant. And so this isn't anything more than just making you guys aware of what we're going to be doing and hoping that we have your guys' same partnership and support as any other school does. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Yes, Kathy Durham. I just want to say that I know you guys have a lot of difficult choices to make. And I know that last week's meeting was a very difficult choice for you. It's still reverberating throughout the communities. And I know these are not easy choices. I would like to just remind you that any cuts that get made to classrooms immediately impact the students, whether it's increased class sizes, especially increased class sizes in the high schools and junior high. When you up the load that a teacher has in the classroom, that's one more student, because every student takes time, energy, and effort. And every increased class size adds to the number of papers that need to be graded, the number of interactions you have to have with that student. And so anything that we can do to minimize those things that have an impact on teachers, because it will absolutely have an impact on students. I know that there was some conversation about the credit recovery program. And I would just like to say that I would highly encourage you to look at making that a fee-based program, except for in terms of hardships. I know there are exceptions, but I think especially in our community, we give our kids every opportunity to be successful in the classroom with our RTIs and our after-school tutoring, the amount of time that we are available. And I just think that the credit recovery program would be better served if there was a little bit more bite to it, rather than, I'll just tell the class and then I can just take a credit recovery. I know that is not a blanket statement for every student, but I do know that that has been a pattern. And it's not just in this district here, it's been throughout the district and also throughout the state. And so I would just like to make those recommendations. Again, I know you guys are doing the best job you can. I know that you're faced with hard decisions and that you yourself didn't create all of this. Most of it comes down from the state, and you're just trying to do the best that you can. I just ask that you keep the teachers and students in mind. On the textbook adoption, when we do get back to that, and I agree that textbook adoption is something that should be delayed and maybe transferred over to another thing. I'd just like to remind you that social studies has not had a history book or a government book since 2005. And so I would ask that maybe you bump up the social studies teachers in that rotation, because a lot's happened in the last 21 years. Thank you for your time.
Any further public comment at this time? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Chair, if I may, I'd like to request that item 2.02 be removed from the consent agenda. With that, I move to approve the remaining consent agenda.
Second.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Motion is to remove item 2.02 and approve the rest of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion passes. We will now address item 2.02, and that is receipt, review, and possible approval of budget transfer report.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the reason I requested this be taken out is simply because of the situation we find ourselves in with the budget. I thought that would do good for the public to understand why it is that this was in consent agenda, that it's a normal piece of business for us. However, it may be something that the public would like to understand a little bit better. I've previously spoken with Ms. Stalkey, and she's agreed to give a brief rundown on what this is.
Thank you. Ms. Stalkey?
So a part of NRS 354.598, the chief financial officer is allowed to transfer amounts of our allocation between functions. I've stated before, function is basically, you can consider it a department. So function 1000 is instruction, 2600 is maintenance. Anybody can look at the Nevada Department of Education's website to see our chart of accounts, which then follows the National Center of Education Statistics. And what it is basically a navigation system as we're using taxpayer funds in order to provide some sort of transparency. So every single department, every fund, every staff member has a certain object code associated with them, every school. So as you look at the budget transfers there, it's basically transferring items from one department to another. Our school sites are also allowed to transfer between certain objects. So if they need to purchase books, if they don't have money allocated into that account, which is 640, they can pull it from their general supplies account. Those budget transfers are then funneled up to our office where we approve it and then we post it. We are allowed to make transfers without notifying the board when it stays within one certain function. But when we're transferring between functions, that's when we require board approval, and that's why this is always on the consent agenda, it's based on that NRS statute.
Thank you.
Any questions? Anything I can clarify?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How does the board like to proceed?
Move to approve the budget transfers as proposed.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. All right, that moves us on to accounts payable, item 3.01. That's receipt, discussion, and possible approval of accounts payable. And we have, there'll be two items there. The first one and then the other ones with Lombard.
Mr. Chair, move to approve 3.17.2026 accounts payable.
Second.
Sorry, we have a motion. Sorry.
Motion.
Motion and a second there. All right, any discussion or disclosures?
I'll disclose that I have a family member who works for Wells Rural Electric, but I will not be abstaining.
I will disclose that I have a family member who works for Wells Rural Electric, and I also own a business on there, Ruby Mountain Rock and Ready Mix, so I will be abstaining from voting today.
Anything further? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Was that an aye from you, Josh?
Yes.
Sorry, didn't mean to leave you out over there.
It's all good.
Motion passes. We have the remaining item there with Lombard.
Chair, move to approve 03.17.2026 accounts payable Lone Wolf.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Disclosures or discussion?
I have to disclose that I work for Lone Wolf and I'll be abstaining from voting.
Thank you. Anything further? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion passes. All right, moving on to 4.01 is receive, review, and discussion regarding superintendent recommendations for plan to address budget concerns. Okay, will be Ms. Doggy? Thank you. This is non-action item. Ladies and gentlemen.
Give me 1 second.
You got it. Is that mic available?
So it makes it recording now.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. We'll just go voices. Well, I want to make sure our recording is. It affects it there.
So a lot of this is repeating information based on what Superintendent Anderson gave at the last week's meeting for the update. But I just wanted to give some more accurate numbers as we've been going through and cleaning up the budget, fine tuning, and then also just give the public an idea of where we're actually standing at this point. So as we went over last time, we have 2 different sets of priorities. We have responsibilities from the Board of Trustees and then also the responsibilities that are done in-house within our administration. So far, the Board of Trustees have already reduced rate of substitute pay for both regular substitutes as well as our long-term subs. We paused the ongoing textbook adoption, and then we made a difficult decision last week to consolidate the Elko 5th grade students to the Elko Elementary Schools at Flyview Intermediate. What we're currently working on right now are the changes to the ongoing Chromebook purchase. We're trying to determine the best way to service all of our students while still being cost effective. Tonight we'll be reviewing an agenda item to move our textbook adoption that's already been purchased this year to our capital improvement funds. We're currently working on facility usage policies, so that way we can generate additional revenue from the facilities we have within the county. We're reviewing that athletic participation policy, and then also we have our IOC Insurance Committee meeting at April 9th, where we're continuing to come up with ideas on how to make our insurance fund more self-sustaining. Within the superintendent and management, we've already decreased our annual incentive grant. We have the middle school Intramurals thanks to the Peppermill for the gracious donation there. We've implemented a hiring freeze, and we're looking at continuous position reductions to match our student enrollment, which is an ongoing. We're reviewing 0 hours and looking at how we can reduce those. And as we mentioned, the 0 hour is basically giving somebody an incentive to use their prep as a time of instructional hour instead of them using it to prepare for their next class. We're looking to expand the Northern Nevada Virtual Academy, which right now only services our secondary students. We're trying to determine if we can open that up to K-12. We don't know what the demand will be for that yet, but we're hoping that within there, some students enroll that we can also increase our enrollment and actually gain some revenue from the people-centered funding plan. I mentioned again the facility usage fee, so the policy will come before you, but we're trying to develop a fee structure just because we have community using our buildings all over the county, and all of our infrastructure varies based on size and the amount of use that it actually gets. We're looking at the pay-to-play participation fee structure, which is the policy will go to you, and then we're looking at credit recovery plan and fee structure associated with that. So as I said, the required proposals that will require board action is the Chromebook reduction. This isn't going to make any replacement on the Chromebook purchase this summer, and it'll represent just a reevaluation going forward. Right now, we're looking at 1 set for every 2 classes at the elementary level, which would save approximately $100,000 for every 5 years. The 1 set of Chromebooks for every 3 classes at the elementary level, which would save approximately $160,000 per year for 5 years. And then, as I said, we're looking at the policies for facility usage and then the pay-to-play participation. Some examples here, which are just examples and doesn't mean that this is what we're exactly looking at. We're trying to determine the way that we can actually gain revenue without detrimentally impacting students that play multiple sports. So if there was $40 per student per sport, that would generate $94,000. We increase it to $50, would be $117,000. $75, $175,500. And then, like I said, we're still looking, we actively do every year, making changes to our self-funded insurance claims. Right now, internally, we have identified 19 certified positions, and these are based on attrition, people that are retiring, leaving, resigning. This is an ongoing annual process, so this is something that HR and the finance, we have to do every year. But we're constantly determining what our cost size ratios are, what the actual demand is in the classroom, and then how that fits the actual projection of revenue that we're going to be getting for that year. So as of today, there's 17 retirements and resignations. We're looking at 23 critical needs positions and then 30 long-term sub positions. As stated, we're still looking at the 0 hours, the NNBA expansion, as well as the credit recovery fees and the structure that will come about. So in the last presentation and within the budget report that the committee came up with to the superintendent, we initially had around $4 million of savings. As of right now, we've had some additional savings, so reallocating, we budgeted initially $1 million in contingency, which is just a padding within our budget that we could use for a rainy day. We've completely removed that, and that'll be going to allocate towards expenses to get us through the year, so that saved us $1 million. The textbook adoption, we were initially looking at $2 million. What's been budgeted there is $2.2 million. Our estimated insurance savings is $800,000, which is a conservative number. We've moved 4 pre-K teachers to our weighted funds, which is at risk in our EL funds. We've moved $500,000 from our general fund to our buildings and sites fund to provide maintenance district-wide. We've implemented a travel fee freeze, which is an estimate of around $300,000. Our PER savings, which we've explained within Nevada, if the substitute goes over 719 hours, we're required to pay PERS. We are tracking hours, so we're hoping to save around $250,000 there. We had 1 journeyman from central office in our maintenance department. We removed the school improvement director position from central office, and then used that staff member to move them to the SPED department, which is paid out of a separate fund. We reduced 1 central office nurse, 1 central office finance position, and the front office receptionist. And then at the last meeting, you approved the 10% reduction to the regular sub rate, which started mid-month in March, which we think will save around $40,000. Altogether, as of today, that comes out to $6,055,600.
Ms. Felke, before you move off of that sheet, that does not include the projected savings from the 36 employees that are identified on slide 4, correct?
No.
Thank you.
So we've had questions on if we do this, where are we going to be? If we do that, where we're going to be? Right now, a reduction needed to maintain a 4% ending fund balance is that $15 million number that we've been looking at. So exactly be $15,120,000. What we totally needed to, if we were to just get down to a 0% ending fund balance, which would then put us into corrective action next year. We are not currently in corrective action. It's just a normal year. We will not know when we're in corrective action until our audit is complete in October. That'll determine if we fall below that 4% ending fund balance. If we only reduce 9.5 million currently, that would get us to a 0% funding ending fund balance. If our projections, if we don't do anything else, and we have no additional savings from the changes we made to health insurance, if no additional projections were accurate, right now we would be at a negative 3.4 million in income balance, just based on the 6 million that I have on the previous slide.
Does the state of Nevada allow us to have a negative $3.4 million budget?
No.
So what do we do if that's where we're at? How do we find 3.4 million?
We continue to reevaluate, look at our budget. As of today, that's what I spend my days on. I'm evaluating expenditures, with gross spending. I'm looking at areas where we might have grant funding that's available, some savings where I'm able to move positions to grant funding to other special revenue funds. If someone's resigning, we're not replacing that position. We're hoping for a good claims year with our insurance, so we're not having to transfer millions of dollars to our self-funded insurance. So it's a day-by-day process to continually make cuts as they come.
Thank you. And actually, if I may, one thing I also failed to look at on slide number 5, the current status of 6.055 million. Are the savings estimated from the consolidation at Flyview and Elko, as well as the elementary schools in Flyview? Those are also not registered on this sheet, correct?
We're not going to see those savings until FY27.
And I see that's going to be on slide 7. So, thank you.
I have a question for you here. I know we say we're day by day, but what's our progress looking like? Are we going to get to 0? Are we going to get to 4%? Is there?
I'm hopeful. I'm really hoping, like with the changes that we've made last year, with our increasing our dependent premiums, also with our retirees increasing their premiums. We've had a lot of retirees that have left the plan, which they were the highest cost drivers within our plan. Last year, we transferred almost $7 million to our self-funded insurance plan. This year, I've only transferred 4. We're almost to the end of the plan, and I was able to actually, with the changes we've made, I was able to send back $500,000 to save the general fund. So I'm hoping with those changes that will be very close.
Very close to 0 or to?
Very close to 0. So as I said before, the sad thing is the majority of school district budgets are personnel. There's only so many non-discretionary items that we can cut without impacting students and our facilities completely. The majority of our purchases that are non-discretionary are made at the beginning of the year, whether it comes to web-based programs, implementing a curriculum or anything else throughout the year. The majority of the spending occurs within the first 3 months.
So with labor and benefits untouchable, the remaining 15% of our general fund would need to absorb $3.5 million. So we're going to need to reduce everything we have left by 20%, unless we can find savings in the couch cushions.
I'm looking for savings from if, somebody is left and if when we've had a couple months of transition where maybe a position was vacant, right there's $10,000. I'm honestly looking for pennies right now.
And I appreciate that. And this is not to say that you're not doing your position.
No, I understand.
I just want to make sure that the board recognizes what we're up against, so that when we're approached by the public of what are we doing, we can better explain that of where we're at.
Right now, we've been spending the time in our office just fine-tuning everything in the budget and trying to move and transfer people and expenses to other revenue streams that we're allowed to do that. Because like we said, there are some funds that are restricted.
We've got 3 months to figure it out.
Yes.
Do we? because we have 1 month
3
before,
months before the deadline.
well, 1 month before April 15th, right? Because isn't our budget
That's
for next
next
year?
That's for next year, so these cuts are for this current year.
Right, but how do we submit next year's budget when we don't know what our ending fund budget or balance is this year to be able to
We
start?
rarely ever know what our ending fund balance is gonna be. Within,
Okay, fair point.
yeah, with how large our budget is and just how unique our county is and the amount of people that are in my office, we rely on IPA for our financial statements. The district always has. We've never had the skill level to provide our own financial statements. And like Terry has said, the last 2 months, we constantly have things going in and out. We're waiting on grant reimbursements. We're waiting on, revenue streams coming from different sources from the county or other areas that owe us. So we'll never have a fine-tuned ending fund balance right at June 30th. We can estimate, but every year when we have to create the new budget, we have to use our beginning balance has to be our ending fund balance that we reported to the Department of Taxation for the previous year. And then we are only able to correct that in our December audit once our financials are audited.
And that comes in October, right?
Our audit's in October, yes.
So, we've expressed as a board that we would like to see as many cuts come from areas outside of, teachers' pay and benefits and things like that. Like we wanna see as many cuts as we can out of other areas before those are touched. I know, the superintendent has discussed that they're going to be, or the district office is gonna be looking into all the different programs and, things that we've purchased before and going through those with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that we don't have anything that's duplicative, and so that we can cut certain things there. Is there a committee that he's forming that's looking into these things, and people on this committee are tasked with going through all the different programs and seeing how many students they serve and what the cost is per pupil, and if that
I know that
program or
that's
that
on our
contract
to-do
with someone is
list.
effective?
That was on the recommendation list from the budget committee, and that is on our to-do list, but, as I know, I can't speak on behalf of Superintendent Anderson, as I don't know of a committee that's been formed yet.
Well, and my point there is just that you stated that the majority of that is spent in the first 3 months, and so it seems like something that should be, that process should probably be happening now, so that when it comes to purchasing those things for the next year, we know what we do want to purchase again and what we don't, what we can do away with to save that money.
May I say something?
Yeah.
What are the steps you guys are gonna take to prevent this? Because like you guys said, negative 3.4 million, and we don't get that 0%. What are the steps that are necessary in order to prevent this from happening for the next year? We all got siblings, kids who are going to these schools. We don't want them to have to deal with this issue every year. Like, what are the steps necessary in order to prevent you guys from being in the negatives?
That's actually on my next slide, Andre, so I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Good question.
Before you go on to that, can you remind me, if I remember correctly, you talked about, and I'm talking about decreasing enrollment and what you have budgeted for just under 8,500 students. So in the past, did you do like 1% each year of a decrease in enrollment? I can't remember what the number was you said. And then what I'm trying to get at is that hasn't happened, right? Like that number was more than you anticipated.
I'm not sure where the 1%, like at one point there was a slideshow where we talked about birth rates declining at 1%. Enrollment, as far, I can't speak on behalf of my predecessors. There was just 1 year where I was able to create the budget on my own, which those enrollment numbers were within the ECSD. But at that point, I did not have the skill level to be forecasting. I just took what the ECSD, and that's my mistake. And that was just me being the first year in that position. So as you can see as we're going through our projected increased enrollment. This year, we're going to have a conservative estimate. Right now, we're getting funded for 8,800 students within our last quarter true-up. I'm projecting 8,495 students. We've been seeing the last few years that we're losing between 200 to 350 students per year. So with that, the per pupil allocation that's set for FY27 by the legislature is 11,745. That does include our wave funds, which is our at-risk, EL, and our GT. So for FY26, the projected revenue I have is 103,047,038, which is a reduction of about 3.2 million from the current year.
If I could throw some out there too for you folks listening, the state decided that $2 more per pupil for this year as opposed to last year was good enough. So just want to throw that out there for you.
So Cassie, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So now that you've had a chance to kind of look at decreasing enrollment, which is how you got that number. So then you were conservative in that number. So is it a good thing to be lower than what the state like?
I think it's safer. So we do have the quarterly true-up. So every quarter, they look at our current adjusted daily enrollment. They compare that to the previous calendar day of the previous year. So we're looking back a whole year. As we've been going, our enrollment has been decreasing. So when it decreases, they then do an audit on that and then determine, okay, you have 200 less students. We funded you for 200 more. We pull back that amount of money for future payments. So then we continually receive less funding as we go. And this happens 4 times. We're at the end of the year, we're sending back about $250,000. I would rather be in the position where at those quarterly true-ups, instead of reducing our revenue, we're gaining. Because maybe we have 100 more students than we actually estimated. In that sense, I'd rather be safe than sorry, especially in the position that we're at, where we don't know what our ending fund balance is going to look like.
Thank you. Do they true up the same, say we do have an increase in that time where they're doing the count? Do they then send us more money, or do they hold off until the next year to send more money? How does that work with?
They recalculate your payment. So based on the number of students, so we get a monthly payment from the PCFE from the state. So if it's 100 students more, they'll increase by 100 times that $11,000 amount, and then your next month you're going to see an increase in that payment that you get.
So you were saying that we've seen over the last few years that enrollment has decreased by 200 to 300 per year. I'm just wondering if that is an accurate enough estimate, only because I worry that it might be higher than that, because the governor has signed on to school choice things, and now there's even more options in Elko as far as charter schools go, and then wanting to increase their classes that they're offering, and different things like that.
I'm not familiar with either of our charter schools or increasing their enrollment for this upcoming academic year. I know that one was considering adding an additional class for each, but I'm assuming that would be around 40 students. So I've already kind of overestimated by 100 students, but it is something that we can look at.
I would imagine though that we don't want to go too low, or then you're affecting class sizes, things of that nature. So it has to be.
Right, when I was
accurate as you can.
Yeah, it's been around 220 to 260. So, usually our first quarter starts out a little bit lower, the second quarter increases, and then the third and fourth quarters pretty much stay stagnant. You might see a little bit of a decrease in the fourth quarter. So as I'm currently building the budget right now, I'm looking at the cuts, but I'm also taking into consideration of what else we have on an annual basis. The majority of our staff are on a merit system, so we always budget for about a 3% increase, and a lot of this just has to do with longevity. Within our salary schedules, there's incentives based on how long you've been there, based on your education level, etc. So I budget for a 3% increase. We've been told by our insurance company that they project for insurance costs to increase about 13%. This is a nationwide increase, it's not just us. We also have, we see every year, we have inflation, and then like Jeff said, we have a lack of state funding growth where we only see it $2 increments. Utilities and fuel, because of the current situation that our country's in, I'm sure you guys have all gone to the gas pump and seen an increase. We have been fortunate the last 2 years, our utility bills have actually decreased, so, but I expect that they will increase this upcoming year. We also always need to be prepared for a PERS, which is our pension system, a projected increase, which is usually around every 2 years. From what I've heard, I'm estimating probably a 1.75% increase in the next year.
Do they give you any warning for that? Like, when do they tell you, oh, by the way, we raised first?
They say we usually have about 6 months. November? November.
Mr. Trinka, are PERS increases automatically within the collective bargaining agreement, does that automatically fall to the district? All increases?
In the agreement, yes.
Thank you. Sorry, in the agreement, yes, was the answer. Okay, thank you.
Cassie, so what does that look for that right now then?
What is for a certified teacher, and if you meet for district paid employees or certified, we cover the full percentage of PERS, which is 36.75 of their salary. For classified members, and not all, but most of our classified are employer paid, which they will contribute 50% of the pension, and then the district will also contribute 50%. There's limitations with this. If you have been in a position where you were fully district paid, I will say that the full portion of PERS from your previous employer, you do not have the option to go into the employer. You must stay at employer paid pension. Many times people stay within the employer paid, and then after 5 years, they're invested into the pension system, and then they will switch to district paid, where the district will cover the full portion of it.
And is there a cap, like PERS can keep going up to pretty soon?
I've never heard of a cap, but they, like everybody else, has to make sure that they have a budget.
Thank you.
So the next slide, if we're needing to cut $7 million right now, I just gave some projections of where our ending fund balance would be.
If anybody needs to move around the bleachers, this is a good time.
Turns out it's affecting the sound, like.
Yeah, so if you want to shuffle closer, this is a good time.
Just so y'all know, I was notified that when there's movement, it's cutting the sound out from our YouTube, from our broadcast. So if anybody has to move around, I'll just stop for a second. But y'all are welcome to gather in if you want to hear better. All right.
No worries, thank you.
Okay, so approximately $7 million in cuts are needed for FY27 just to keep up with the pressure, the 3% merit increase, the projected increases to health insurance, inflation, and utility costs. As of right now, if we went back and just stated that $6 million cut with the negative $3 million ending fund balance, we would need to cut $10.4 million to the budget for next year. So that would get us to a 0% ending fund balance.
Saw that.
if we wanted to keep our 4%, and this 4% is a little bit lower because as our revenues are decreasing, it's based upon our expenditures. That's where the ending fund balance is based off of. So obviously revenue decreases, our expenditures are hopefully going to decrease as well. Our ending fund balance would be 4.6 with that 3.4 deficit and the 7 million that we need to cut. We need to cut a total of 15 million.
How much of the carryover, or sorry, how much of the current 6.055 million can carry over to that 15 million? So I'm looking at the numbers on slide 5. It seems to me that all of those are one-time savings. Would that be accurate to say?
Well, the 4 pre-K teachers, if they stayed on the weighted funds, then from this year forward, that would always be a savings for the general fund of 250,000.
So you're currently budgeting for them to be in general fund?
No, they were in the general fund and we moved them to weighted funds, and now they're permanently going to be housed in weighted funds moving forward, which is always free up to 250 in the general fund.
Right, but I'm assuming that you've reduced that already for the FY27 budget.
I have not.
Oh, okay, good.
So the only things that are one time within the current status is the textbook adoption to the capital improvement plan. We don't want to continue doing that. Yeah, we don't want to, we always want to make sure that we have a contingency within there. The insurance savings is something that we should be doing every year to stay proactive as everything's increasing. The general fund maintenance moving to the buildings and sites fund, we don't want that to be a permanent transfer as well. The buildings and sites fund right now, like I told you before, we're going to be eating into our ending fund balance just to keep that going. Let's see. The journeyman, the central office positions, we don't foresee those coming back, so those will be equal savings as well.
And they're currently budgeted for just like the pre-K.
So what I currently budgeted, so for those positions at the central office, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Those are completely eliminated. Those weren't transferred to any other funding sources.
Right, so for the FY27 budget, are those positions carrying over? Or have you reduced the budget by these dollar amounts because you know they're not moving forward?
So the only thing for the central office, what is budgeted in there for right now for salaries is any active employee that we currently have. So the central office are gone, but for the certified staff that we see or the long-term subs, those are currently in there. As well, I haven't included the savings from the substitute rates either. So we will see some additional savings there.
But the majority of that 6 million is one-time only.
So Cassie, is it correct that we do not get funding for pre-K unless
we
it
only
is
get paid for early childhood students if they have an IEP.
So is it possible to look at different savings with the pre-K? Can we move more pre-K into the weighted? Do we need to reduce our pre-K offerings so that we can save money there unless the state's going to fund pre-K? I know that's a big discussion at the state level and might come in the legislative session, but up until that point, is that an area we can also find savings?
So the pre-K under the EL and at-risk weighted funds, it is an allowable expense to move those there. But since the funding formula has been implemented, as for the pupil-centered funding plan, where they wanted the funds to stay with the student in the current year, our weighted funds are based on prior year counts, which can fluctuate. So I think I told you guys in the backpack plan, where if a student is at risk, but then they're EL, they'll get the EL funds. Or if they're at risk EL and then SPED, they'll just get the SPED funds. So we don't have a stacking system. Also, we're seeing like major fluctuations in those student counts. So where we're basing it off of October 1st, those can drastically differ from the previous year. One year we had at-risk funds of about 1.3 million, and the next year it went down to 800,000. So I have been moving personnel over there, but I've also been keeping contingency in those funds just in case the next year we might see a shift in our student demographics and then we receive less funding. Yeah.
I'm just got a little bit of context too there, just from the special, like Cassie mentioned. We do receive funding for our special education students, and so in our district, really the vast majority of our core kindergarten, we'll call it, programming, it's early childhood programs that we staff based on those special education student numbers. And just kind of because we recognize that there are limited general ed pre-K opportunities for our district, we incorporate some non-special education students into those programs, for a couple of reasons, right? To provide some offerings for people. And then it's also good to have a mix of students in your class at the same time, so some good role models for kids who are in development. So there's potentially maybe, I guess, an opportunity for maybe a little bit of savings there. But the point that I would make is that the vast majority of those programs, like these 4 positions that are represented here on the slide, are probably a pretty good chunk of all of our staffing that's outside of special education allocations. So making those changes, and I know that idea of like every little bit contributes, right? So I don't want to diminish that by any means, but the amount of savings that could be recognized through that was probably a lot more minimal than I thought it was going to be when I sat down with our early childhood staff and kind of estimated figures to it. It was really a lot of effort and a lot of reduction of general education pre-K opportunities for kids for not much of a financial impact.
So the next slide are reductions for FY '27. Some of them have been implemented. The staffing reductions to nutrition is an estimate, a goal of what we're trying to get, which is 4 million. Our 0-hour reduction estimate is about $500,000. Our sub-pay, just based on the reduced rates, is 1.5. Again, the textbook adoption, it's actually 2.2 if I keep it at the same budget rate that it is this year. Flag pay was an estimate of 800,000, and then our incentive grant. So Matt, this does go back to 8.87 we'll be carrying over. And then, like I said previously, our pending reductions are the evaluations of the Chromebook cycles, the data play, the NMDA, facility rentals, and credit recoveries. So every year when we do our budget, as just with any business, we have to make forecasts based on the economy, based on what our community is doing, based on our student enrollment, based on how many students we're going to have. And within that, we have to create basically the foundation and structure on how we're going to effectively and efficiently serve all of our students in our communities with the little resources that we have. So it's constantly up and down, but with the new funding formula, currently with the true ups, we're doing this in the beginning, and then as our enrollment decreases, we're having to make reductions mid-year. That's why I'm trying to come in conservatively for this next year, so we're not having to be placed in this position again going forward.
Okay. Is there any way to receive funding from like the mining or any like big corporations? Because I know we have the mining facilities have to bring in a bunch of money. They have all these workers. Is there any way to like get them to fund for these schools?
So the mines currently do pay a net proceeds of minerals tax that does go. I don't remember, I think it was in SB 8495. The tax was reallocated. It used to stay within the counties that the mines served. That funding now goes, tax revenues used to be distributed to the counties, and then those would be distributed to the schools. Now it's pooled into the state education fund, and then that's distributed wide on the adjusted base of people, and it goes to every student in the state. The mines are very generous. They do provide us with grants. They do support many of the activities within our community. But yeah, there's only so far that, yeah.
Yeah, to give you a little background on that, folks, everybody, that's kind of the problem we're facing right now. That original plan was called the Nevada plan, and it kept net proceeds of mining in the county where they were developed. And so that, depending on, some counties did a little better than others, like Eureka has a real nice barn for their buses, you know, but part of that was how it was divided up. But then they switched through that bill to the pupil-centered funding plan. And that's where we're running into issues now, because we're not the only district that's coming in on these, with these deficits. There's 7 since I last talked to that are facing either a zero fund or a negative ending fund balance. So I believe that's symptomatic of the program, and I mentioned earlier, like we were at $11,743 last year per student, and they raised it by $2. Thought that'd be good enough for the next year, but we've got percentage increases on our budget going 3% more here. It just doesn't add up, and so I'll address that more in my comments later, but I just want everybody to know what's going on with this funding plan and why we're running into these issues. That and the 4 times a year that it gets adjusted, even though we have to be right before we even know what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's a volatile plan.
Cassie, on slide 10, you have 8.7 million of reductions made for FY 27. Can we apply that against the 7 million needed on slide number 9? Or is the 7 million needed on slide 9 in addition to the 8.8?
As of right now, with my $7 million cut, that takes into account the textbook adoption. And it takes into account, that's that. So if you subtract that, it's 6.8, that'll apply.
So that takes care of almost all of the reductions needed for FY 27 on slide 9.
And then you would have to take care of the ending fund balance deficit.
Well, 3.4 million is a lot better than 15.1 or 10.4. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
Anything further on this item?
Thank you.
Josh, anything?
We'll keep you here. I bet you for 4.02 as well. Josh, do you have anything? Dr. Byer?
I do not, thank you. It's tough to hear, so.
Thank you to you and your team, as well as the rest of the central office and the administrators at the sites that have been working on this. We do appreciate it. We're not trying to beat you up. We do recognize what this is and the hours you guys are putting in as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Board, I'm going to go ahead and move on to item 4.02. That's receipt, review, and possible approval of the one-time transfer of current textbook implementation from the general fund to the capital improvement fund. This is for possible action.
So we have already went to our internal capital improvement committee, as well as the county capital oversight panel that was introduced with.
We had to hold up 1 second. Step down. We're just making sure we get a good audio recording for everybody who's watching on YouTube as well.
Lori, do you think if she held the microphone, if we held it further away from her, it might work? She could step back and just try it.
We'll find out real quick. We got a minute. So.
So when we get it with the student board member, the problem is that the mic is picking it up here and then it's picking it up onto the speaker too.
Ask Josh, how does that sound?
Josh, can you give us an update on the sound?
Is that better?
I mean, it's a little better, but it's, I mean, and that's fine. I don't know that you're going to be able to fix it during this meeting, but I'm like pseudo already preparing a proposal to try and fix this because we can do this. So yeah, do you guys just do your thing, continue the meeting. I appreciate it. I'll try and chime in when I can.
Thank you.
Okay, as we've discussed in our other budget recommendations, we found that there was an Attorney General opinion number 69-580, along with NRS 387-3285 section 3, that provides a legal framework and justification that textbooks qualify as equipment, and equipment are qualified to be paid for out of our pay-as-you-go funds or capital improvement fund. We've gone to our internal capital improvement committee as well as the 8519 created county capital oversight. We conversed with them and we have the approval from both committees. And now we're coming to ask for approval to transfer that textbook implementation that was purchased in FY '26 to our capital improvement funds. The actual purchase was about 1.5 million, but we budgeted about 2.2 million for the curriculum update. So we will be able to take that 2.2 and then transfer that into other savings within our general fund.
Mr. Chair, move to approve a one-time transfer of current textbook implementation from the general fund to the capital improvement fund.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. All right. Yes.
And it's worse.
It's worse. Oh my God. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, item 4.03, review, discussion, and possible action regarding continuation of board services with balanced governance solutions for possible action. This is something that I brought to the board here because we are committed. We're not under contract. Since the board approved this expenditure, I just didn't want to unilaterally axe it without talking to you guys first. But it's my personal feeling that in this, and I'm sure Dr. Ellsbury would be all right with this, but that if we can at least move this to next fiscal year, that's going to put us off from anything. We had a meeting possibly planned in April, but that would require some expenditures on our part. And yeah, just wanted to bring that to the board and see how you want to proceed with that.
Mr. Chair, I think the information and the training we've had with Dr. Ellsbury has been invaluable. However, I think at this time with our budget looking the way it is, it would be good to pause any further expenditures. Not making a motion, I'm just sharing my thoughts at the moment.
Mr. Chair, how much are we? Oh, sorry, Sue, go ahead. I yield.
I just want to know, I think maybe it's your same question. How much would it be to do, because we don't have any evaluation of our superintendent. And it's, to me, it would be sad to postpone a whole other year. Like, how many years are we going to wait for an evaluation for a superintendent? So how much would it be to do that portion of it just now? Since his contract's kind of divided up in what we do, like what would that cost?
We paid 25 and the total commitment was for what, 49? 49.
So we paid 25?
Yes, so it would be an additional expenditure of $24,000.
Just to do the evaluation?
Yes, that's what's where, that's basically what's left. Can you help me out?
The handbook's not done either though. We have several things on here that haven't been done.
Understood, and that was to come up, our next meeting again was in April, but that would require some funds going out.
Yeah, I just wanted to know how much would be charged for just the evaluation portion. I'd be interested in knowing that. Like if it's something you could do with us over Zoom, I just would be interested in that cost.
Right, we can certainly reach out and find out.
Okay.
So as far,
Sorry.
Go ahead, Lori.
so as far as Dr. Albury is concerned, he's done providing services with the handbook and has given that to us to make the final adjustments on. So the remainder is of that 49,000 is $24,000, and 4,000 of that is allocated towards individual and board president consultation. I'm not sure how much of any of that has been used thus far, but so we're looking at basically a base sum of $20,000 to wrap up our services with him, which is mostly superintendent evaluation stuff.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the only reason we're not under contract is an oversight. The contract was presented, it just wasn't signed. So it's generous of Dr. Ellsbury to allow us to get out of that contract. And I shouldn't say get out of it because we were never in it. But again, that was just an oversight on that part. And as board president at the time, I take responsibility. I don't want this to be because I was board president when that happened. We have $20,000 left in the agreement. We started the process. If we start, we don't, or if we stop, we don't know when we're going to start again. To Susan's point, if we don't continue with this contract, then we have until May 1st to get an evaluation again. So I think it does a disservice to our superintendent to give him less than 6 weeks in which we are going to be evaluated. If we continue with Dr. Ellsbury, the superintendent has already accepted that we will not give a superintendent evaluation until October. That's because of this contract. So if we don't vote on this tonight, and we postpone it to the next meeting, so we can find out if Dr. Ellsbury will allow us to move forward. We also need to find out if our superintendent will allow us as a board outside of the contract to evaluate in October. That then puts it so that if the motion, we then are giving our superintendent less than 4 weeks to perform an evaluation. I strongly urge rejecting the boards or the board chairs. Laura Lynn, my wife, I apologize. If needed, I will donate my $400 a month salary back to the district for the year that I have to be able to donate towards this. That is the best that I can do, but I do not think that we need to abandon this contract this time. This is a process we have worked through as a board. This is intended to strengthen the board, not us 7 members, the board moving forward. I think we need to continue it. And the apologies just because I just made a pretty significant decision on salaries for our families. Anything further from the board?
I like the idea of postponing it to at least find out more information from Dr. Ellsbury. I agree with that. Say, find this information and see if we can. But yes, just wait. Postpone it to next meeting.
Can you clarify, because I'm trying to take notes here, Commissioner, what additional information you need from Dr. Ellsbury? So make sure that we get that full sheet.
Well, one, I'd like to know if we just did superintendent evaluation, some help with that. Because if we don't get help with that, then we need to get it together and put together a decent evaluation. Because we don't, in my opinion, we do not have one right now. And that is not a good thing not to have.
Are there alternate ways to do it? Like she said, maybe via Zoom instead of him coming here. I'm on the fence on this one, and only because as a school board, the power that we have as a school board is in creating policy, approving a budget, and evaluating our superintendent. And without a good superintendent evaluation process, I just think we're really limiting ourselves as a school board, and that's not something that we want to do. If we could just find out a few more details from Ellsbury, if we could do that via Zoom and have maybe that cost could come down. I would also like to continue with it. I honestly feel like had I known, we would be in this position, I would have preferred that we did the superintendent portion first, because I feel like this is the most important part of this training that we're doing with them. Like, to me, this is the biggest piece of it.
And then for also clarification, I'd like confirmation from the superintendent that if we cancel Dr. Ellsbury's contract, the superintendent will give us direction on what he will accept as evaluation, which will change his contract.
And that's another question that I have. We do have a superintendent evaluation process that we have been doing, that we've come up with. I can't, like, if we decide not to move forward with Dr. Ellsbury and the superintendent portion of this training, I don't personally see the problem, and obviously we need to check with CJ, but I don't see the problem in continuing with that evaluation that we've done previously and doing it. And when do we normally do that? It's now. Yeah, next month. I don't know, but what are your guys' thoughts around that? He already kind of knows what's on that, and that evaluation was all based off of the goals that we set as a board and the direction and vision that we were moving towards as a district and different things like that. So I still think it would be sufficient, but it's definitely not ideal.
The last two evaluations that we did had a good amount of change between them. They weren't consistent. The process was fairly consistent, but the questions and what was evaluated on was chosen by the board and influenced by the superintendent. So we could pick those, go back through, see what the board wants as important. My concern on the disservice to the superintendent is that he's getting it. Theoretically, yes, he's going to be concentrating on all of those issues, but the whole purpose of Dr. Ellsbury saying on an evaluation, these are the items to focus on, is so that that gives the biggest bang for the buck, hoping that as an umbrella, that covers everything else to a degree. On the fly and with this computer or this Chromebook, I can't pull it up very often or very easily, and my other one died that has better capabilities on me finding things. Then hearing what I've heard, and with the understanding that through Robert's Rules of Orders, a tabled item must be removed from the table by the end of the subsequent meeting, I move to table item 4.03.
CJ would like to make a comment.
Oh, perfect. I withdraw my motion.
All right. Mr. Anderson.
Hi, everyone. Just chiming in here. Sorry for the delay here with me getting on. I have been on since the budget overview item listening. Thank you for the conversation. Regarding this, you know, for the sake of being a team player, of course, I'm willing to do whichever evaluation. I appreciate the consideration Matt's trying to give and others are thinking of as well. In the end, if an evaluation tool is being used for growth and for measurement, then that's always helpful, regardless of, there may be one better than the other, but that's good. If it's being used for punitive reasons, that's a different story and could be interpreted differently, but that's not how I view this. So I'm willing to do whatever. I do agree that the turnaround for next month is not great, and that a lot of work has been put already into establishing, which strategic goals would be the ones I focus on, and those have been the focus for the year. So from my perspective, I will say that while I am, I am guilty is the wrong word, but I'm definitely someone who said before, like, just because we say this, thing is a goal or these few things are a goal doesn't mean we're not doing other things. So the reality is anything that you have in a superintendent evaluation, in all likelihood, that has been something we've been working on throughout the year. It just may not have been the primary focus as a priority. But we're all trying to find ways to make adjustments where we can for the good of the district as a whole. And so whatever you feel like you need to do, you can go ahead and evaluate me whenever and however you would like. We're working hard regardless, so do what you got to do.
Mr. Chair, then with that said, I again move to table this item until we have had an opportunity to hear from Dr. Ellsbury as to what the opportunities would be for him to assist this board with the evaluation process.
There's a second down there? Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion passes. We'll table this item and revisit it next meeting.
Jeff, I do have a question. If
Yes.
we're looking at kind of a tight timeline, our next meeting isn't until, we've got, what, 3 weeks?
First
until our
Tuesday in
next
April.
meeting? Would it be more timely considering, all that we have going on right now, if we had a special meeting to look at this? One person could be at the district office, everybody else over Zoom, and we could have a discussion about this, so that it's more timely and we're not waiting until the first week in April, which would be when we should really be doing the evaluation.
Agreed, and that's something I was going to look into. I'll take that suggestion under advisement and see where that goes. All right, item 4.04, appointment of school board members to attend 2026 high school graduation ceremonies in the district for possible action. And we've got 10 graduations here. We want to divide up, so.
Yeah, jump in there. Just throw it in your
And we're taking notes down there.
So I'm able to do adult ed in 6. That form in 12. And this one, I usually do Carlin. I don't know if anyone else, because we have like 5 on the same day. I don't know if anyone else will do Carlin, and I can go to a different one, but I like to go to that. And the same day, Elko High School has the graduation, but it's 2 hours later. So I can do Carlin and Elko High School, May 20.
You do both?
Yes.
Okay.
And Spring Creek High School, May 20.
Good 5. Wow, okay. Other fun, right? All right. I'll go down this way. Both second there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to attend to the pleasure of the board and the president, Spring Creek High School's graduation, West Wendover High School's graduation, Adult Ed High School graduation, Northeastern Nevada Academy graduation, and the Battleborn Youth Challenge Academy graduation.
Thank you, Trustee McCarty. I'll go down this way now.
Well, I'm trying to get to all the different schools instead of the same one every year. So I have Spring Creek High School and Wendover High School to do those because I have been everywhere else except Carmel.
Wonderful. All right, moving on down.
All right, and I actually also have Spring Creek High School and West Wendover and
You've had a monopoly on West Wendover way too long there, Mr. Durham, Mr. President.
I'm staying. Trustee Ballard.
So I'm just trying to think of what hasn't been taken. I have a nephew graduating from Wells this year, so I'd like to take Wells on Thursday, the 28th.
Yeah, we need Wells.
And then
We also need Hawaii and Jackpot.
Yep, I would like Owyhee on the Friday, the 29th. I was able to go to Jackpot's last year, and that was such an incredible graduation. It was really a really awesome opportunity to go watch that graduation. So I'm gonna be sad to miss that one.
All right, and Dr. Byers, you still with us?
Yes, sir. So I can do an NVA, and I have a niece graduating from Elko High School, so I need to attend that one. And I believe I can do Battleborn, but it's up in the air. So temporarily schedule me on that one.
Thank you. I need somebody for Jackpot on Friday.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
I was in tears.
Would Wendover be mad if I went to Jackpot on the same day?
Yeah.
Get the look.
I have been to Jackpot. I have never been to Wendover, which is why I was like, I really want to come to Wendover. But if you need somebody to go to Jackpot, I can go to Jackpot if necessary.
if you don't mind.
I can do that. That's my, I'll do that.
That cover. Myself, I'm putting myself down for West Wendover. I'm gonna do Wells on Thursday. And then also I will be doing, adult ed, Battleborn. And that's what I'll be able to make. All right, does that work?
Your way.
Yes.
So for adult education, I have Adriana Stanville, Matt McCarty, and Jeff Durham. For Battleborn, I have Adriana, Matt, Teresa, Dr. Byers, and Jeff. For Carlin, I have Adriana. For Elko High School, I have Adriana and Dr. Byers. For Jackpot, I have Teresa. For Northeastern Nevada Virtual Academy, I have Matt and Dr. Byers. For Hawaii, I have Brooke. For Spring Creek High School, I have Adriana, Matt, Susan, and Teresa. For Wells High School, I have Brooke and Jeff. And for West Wendover High School, I have Matt, Susan, and Jeff.
Good.
All right, just to clarify, yes. Teresa, you're not able to do Wells because you're going to Jackson, correct?
She's not able to do Wendover.
Okay. So are you still planning on doing Wells? I had you down as Wells.
No, Brooke is doing Wells.
Okay, so just Wells, or just Brooke and Jeff. Okay, Wells, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, better notes.
All right, unless there's anything further, I'll go ahead and move on to item 4.05, receipt, review, and possible approval of the 2026-2027 Battleborn Youth Challenge Academy calendar or possible action. Let's see, Emily Nelson.
So this is just a yearly calendar update that we need to approve, that Josh Farmer puts together for us. And yeah, this is what Battleborn, they always operate on a different kind of calendar than the rest of the school districts because they have two big groups that come in. So this is the calendar that works best for them.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I move to approve the 26-27 Battleborn Youth Challenge Academy calendar.
Second.
We'll go with the second here, trustee Neal. Got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Josh, you're an aye?
Aye, yep.
All right, moving on to, we'll keep you up here. I got you for 4.06, receive, review, and discussion regarding proposed revisions to policy JDFH, student discipline, homeless and foster students. This is a non-action item, first reading.
Yeah, so this is just to get us up to speed with the new NRS 392467. And so you'll see that there are just a couple of things that need to be changed because they're making accommodations for foster and homeless students, especially around discipline. Because when we suspend a student who has a compromised living situation, we want to make sure we have a safety plan in place for them. So this guarantees that additional support that would be given to foster and homeschool students.
Thank you. Anything from the board on this policy?
Yeah, I'm just a little confused on how it reads, and it might just be me. But on one, it says suspension of 4 days or less. A principal may suspend a homeless student or a student in foster care for not more than 4 school days without a determination of whether the student's homelessness or placement in foster care was a factor in the behavior that led to the suspension in accordance with the following section. So it's saying you cannot suspend a student for more than 4 days without a determination. And then the next one says suspension of more than 4 days. If a principal suspends a homeless student or student in foster care for more than 4 school days, the principal must, as soon as practicable or no later than the 8th school day after the suspension. So That just is confusing to me. It's saying you cannot suspend a student that is homeless or in foster care for more than 8 days or 4 days unless there's this determination made.
The determination.
But then it says 8 days later. So it's like, well, he was already suspended or she was already suspended for 4 days and they have up to 8 days to make this determination. So it just seems confusing the way it's worded.
It is all based on the way the NRS reads as well. And we always adapt things for our 4-day week as well. So where there's 4, there's been 5 to 10, and we reduced to 4 to 8. And the one thing that we have to do now is that determination, and that would just be a site-based determination to make sure that first one is to make sure that it wasn't their homelessness that caused the discipline. And that would just be, you get together with the principal, a counselor, a guardian, foster family, whoever is that child support, and potentially a teacher, and that determination just would be made there. And it's putting in those safeguards to make sure that a student that has these other concerns in their life is still being supported. So those determinations aren't like huge appeals like we do with the hearings, those kinds of things. It's kind of a smaller site-based.
So I guess my question is if it says that you cannot suspend them for more than 4 days without that determination being made, but then you have until the 8th day to determine that. It would make sense to me if it said you cannot suspend a student that's homeless or in foster care for more than 4 days unless a determination of whether the student's homelessness or placement in foster care was the factor in that behavior. And by the 3rd day, that determination needs to be made. Do you get what I'm saying? Because
Yeah, they're giving us some room for that, but honestly, I don't think it would take that. I think that determination can be made quite quickly. The law just reads that we do actually have more time.
So they technically can be suspended for more than 4 days.
Yeah.
Without that determination being made.
No, you can make the determination, but you can make it pretty quickly. You wouldn't have to take all of the time that's given.
But you could take up to 8 days.
Yes,
so they could technically be suspended for more than 4 days, even if after on the 7th day, it's determined that their homelessness or placement in foster care was a factor in their behavior. They've already been suspended for that 4 days. It just doesn't make sense to me.
If I may too, though, it does say as soon as practicable, meaning like they're not supposed to drag it to 7th day. There's got to be a good reason to keep it there. But I'd also ask, this wording is derived from NRS, right?
Yeah.
It's not really something where it's to be in compliance with NRS.
Yeah, and our discipline, much of our discipline procedures read like this. It's not common. I think our principals are pretty familiar with dealing within these timelines because we, have different policies through bullying and our special education and, students that might have different timelines for discipline. This fits with a lot of what we do also with students who have IEPs.
You had something down there, Andre?
My bad. Wouldn't an evaluation be better beforehand, before sending the kids off? And like, you're in trouble for 4 days, here you go. Wouldn't an evaluation be better beforehand rather than after?
Yes, so that would be a best practice, and that's what we would want to do. Absolutely. The law doesn't necessarily mandate that we do it that way. The law gives us more time, but best practice would absolutely to do this before.
Yeah, my bad. So when she was reading that, because I don't have a thing, I was like, the way I was interpreting that, I was like, imagine a kid, they get him in trouble for 4 days, and then you're like, oh, and then we're gonna figure out what was the issue, instead of taking the time to figure out like, oh, are you having struggles at home, or is there just like something that's wrong with you, and how can we help, instead of just giving the kid the food right away?
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind too, this isn't to determine what they did wrong. It's to determine whether homelessness or foster care was a factor in that behavior.
Yeah. No, but you're right. You know, we want to take these considerations, and before, you know, hopefully we were doing these things before, and we're aware of who our homeless and foster kids are in our schools, and we would make these considerations, and now the law is just mandating that we do something that we should already have been doing.
So later in this, it talks about how they have to give 3 notices to whoever is in, trying to think of the contact person, or like whoever's kind of in charge of this child. They have to give 3 notices. They have to require 24 hours for them to be able to communicate back whether they can make that meeting or not. That can be a lot of those days that child is suspended for 4 days. That can take up a lot of those days, which puts this determination meeting, hearing, whatever you'd like to call it, out past the 4 days. And then, so let's say the district and everyone in the district has done everything that they could to try and make this a speedy process, so that they can make that determination with this child. But it ends up happening on day 5 or 6, and then it's determined that yes, their placement in foster care or their homelessness was in fact the reason why they had this behavioral issue. But by that point, they've already been suspended for 6 days, when it says right here, number 1, they may not be suspended for more than 4 days. I don't know, I just feel like, and everybody says it comes directly from NRS.
It does.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
It
The way this is
absolutely
written and how it's carried out.
So this is how it reads, the NRS does, and that provision, I read that several times over and over again, because that is kind of a new provision that we're not quite used to, that mandate of 3 times to call the guardian. We've never had an issue. We're a smaller district, so I always think, you know, what has Clark been up to? Because sometimes I think some of the bigger schools and their issues have kind of driven some of the policy that we follow. And yeah, that one's a new one for me to make sure that we call 3 times. That tends to not be an issue for us.
If I may, Mr. Chair? Yes. Ms. Nissen, you indicated that the current, or the new NRS that we're looking at, 392.467, allows us up to this extra 4 days on top of that. Is there a reason why we can't be better than what Nevada is stating? It's because this is our policy for our district. Is there a reason that we couldn't make this policy say our employees will determine within 4 days, period, done? Is there a reason we would not? Well, I get that the state allows us extra, but we can be better than that, can't we?
We can. We certainly can.
So can you think of a reason why? I get that the state allows it, but I agree 100% with what Brooke is saying, and I've been reading NRS for 20 plus years. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So it gives us that gray area, but I don't think that that's fair to the student, and that's why we're here. So I'd like to see if there's a reason not to put, it will be done in 4 days because that's our policy.
Please. I would suggest, I think that's a good question for our legal counsel to make sure that we're not violating anything that's already put into statute. And then just my own 2 cents there. I would be cautious to speak in those absolutes of will do this. My own opinion here, as Brooke was talking, was thinking something along the lines of clarifying. I kept mentioning that state as soon as practicable. Maybe we could put some clarification for our administrators of how the direction we would like to interpret that. Like, in my opinion, I feel like It sounds to me like, Brooke, you're saying you're concerned about a suspension that's less than 8 days, but this meeting doesn't happen until 8 days. So my own interpretation of as soon as practicable, as a former principal, I would be looking at, I would want to hold that meeting before that suspension, right? That's my interpretation of that. So maybe we can find a little bit additional context of what that means. But I think to your point, Matt, check with legal counsel before we do anything there, and I would be cautious of the absolute will. Because like Ms. Nielsen mentioned, that we're a small enough district, getting a hold of folks is generally not an issue. But there's a potential time where, maybe their case manager is on vacation that day or out sick or something. And so, that really narrow restriction will really kind of boxes us into corners a little bit, but maybe a little additional clarification of what the expectations of as soon as practicable are, assuming our legal counsel says it's okay, might be one avenue to pursue to bring back to you next time.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And if someone on the board or Ms. Nielsen or Mr. Smith can correct me if I'm reading this wrong, but under section 2, subsection A, it lists 3 people. People 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the principal. 2 is a contact person at the school, including without limitation, a school counselor or school social worker. And 3 is the district liaison for homeless students or the educational decision maker appointed pursuant to NRS 432B.462, but that only applies to students in foster care. So if I'm reading this correctly, if the student is homeless, not in foster care, all 3 people that need to be called to make the decision are all district employees. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right, in that situation, it wouldn't be a matter of getting a hold of them outside the district.
So it's only those students that are in foster care that we may have an issue getting a hold of that 3rd person. Okay. Thank you. And there is a possible minor typo on number 3. It appears to repeat 4 homeless students twice. But I'll again defer that to our wonderfully talented administrative assistant, who also is very versed in legalese and policies to make sure that I'm not misreading that. Thank you, Ms. Nielsen. Chair, I have
Mr. Chair, I don't know if we might have any public comment on this. We do have some administrators that might have some experience with this. So I don't know if anyone would like to make public comment. We want to open that up.
Sure. Let's keep in mind too, this is the first reading, so what we're looking for here is the direction to staff and where to proceed.
Yeah, I have not been through all this myself, but under the assumption that this policy is similar to what would be the STED student, that those, when they talk about 4 days, that's total for the year up to that point. Keep in mind, you could have a kid who's suspended 1 day for this, a week or 2 later gets suspended another day, and they'll start to add up, and then they have a weapon in school.
This one is different.
Is this one different?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless of if we have a weapon or something like that, that's a long suspension. We would do that suspension while we go through this process. And so that gives us time to work out if it's a major thing. Now we're talking once again, a major event, not the small types of stuff. So if it's a small thing, we're going to try to work with that as quickly as possible. But if it's a major thing, we want to make sure we are doing everything correctly to ensure safety for that student, but also everybody in the school. And then for that reason, I would lean more toward let's follow the policy with me. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Could you tell me what it means by the 3 written notices? Is that email, like a letter?
Yeah, so we use email quite frequently for a written notice, but we would also always follow up with snail mail.
I'm just thinking snail mail could take 6 days.
Yeah.
No offense to the post office.
No.
And also on the education decision maker, like for DCFS, they're always short-staffed and someone's always gone. It seems like it could take days to get, which I realize they just have the meeting without them, which may not be a good thing.
Yeah, I think you do have to have that extra person, which, yes, that could be why they're factoring in those additional, that buffer. And again, they're making a lot of these policies for very large districts that,
And this may sound like a silly question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Can you give me an example of what a student might do that is homelessness or being in foster care would cause the behavior enough to be suspended? And I'm sorry, I just can't.
Yeah,
Hypothetical, I'm picturing a student who steals food from the lunchroom because they don't have food at home, they don't have a home to go to. So they get caught. Maybe it's their second or third offense. That probably wouldn't be a situation where you jump straight to a suspension, but that's an example. Because when this was presented, I was thinking the same thing. What would be an example?
Yeah.
That's the best one I could come up with.
That makes sense to me, and I don't think you guys.
possibly breaking into a facility or place that.
Say that.
Snowing outside.
Yeah, possibly breaking into a school facility or a place for shelter.
Okay, thank you. That makes much more sense.
Anything further from the board on this item? All right, thank you. We're gonna move to the next one. And is that, that's also, don't go too far.
Yeah.
Receive, review, and discussion regarding proposed revisions to policy JDDC, student discipline, possession of a firearm, dangerous weapon, or prohibited item, also non-action item, first reading.
Yeah, so for this one, you can just go straight to 5, and they just had to include the homeless and foster care element into this policy.
So it seems that if we pass the policy we just discussed, then this simply just refers back to that.
Yeah.
And because this is as NRS written, there doesn't seem to be a lot of option for us.
Any other comments on this policy, board? All right, thank you. Moving forward, item 5.01, superintendent's report. Mr. Anderson.
Yep, I'm still here. Let me pull up this document. Okay, so just a few things to cover with you, given the technology setup we got going on here. At our last meeting, I hadn't quite had a chance to put my thoughts together around the brief comment I made at the Elko City Council, which would have been like literally minutes before our own agenda or our own board meeting. I ran over there and then came back. So at that Elko City Council meeting, the Elko High School Booster or Athletic Booster Club went to talk to the city about trying to garner some support to completely redo Warrior Track and Field for Elko High School. That was an endeavor you were all made aware of back in the fall, I want to say. May have been the late summer, early fall. So, they've been doing a lot of work, and we've been working in concert with them, trying to, make sure we have accurate numbers to the extent possible and have a strategy for how we can approach different entities. It is a rather large undertaking, regardless of how we look at it and to what scale we do it. But it was important for for the Athletic Booster Club, if they're out looking for support, that the other entities that are potentially going to support know that that they are working with the school district, and that the school district also has a measure of support for it. So what I did tell them at that meeting was that we are working together. I let them know that at that point it was something I supported, and however, that I do not speak for the board, and that also, as far as timeline goes, I couldn't promise any sort of any sort of dollar amount or anything like that because we have our own processes whereby in May or so we do our draft capital improvement plan, and then in June, July, that comes before the board. So, just kind of gave them an awareness of timeline and what we were looking at. But I did, I went and spoke at that meeting, and then was less than excited to see my face in newspaper articles as it's not about me, it's about the kids and their track and our community really benefiting from having that fully functioning because it doesn't just serve Elko High School, it serves our entire district and it serves our entire community. So it's an undertaking worth supporting in my estimation, and just wanted to make sure you knew why I was there. I wasn't on the agenda. I just gave public comment as an individual, and of course I can't talk anywhere without also being regarded as the superintendent as well. So I spoke in that capacity also. And I would, we'll talk about it more as it comes up later. But wanted to make sure I had a chance to talk to you about that. A few other things that have happened or will be happening. Last Wednesday, we did hold our annual tribal, or sorry, our Title VI tribal consultation meeting, which gives tribal leaders and representatives and community members a chance to connect with the district and talk about our different title funded programs. One of the primary title programs that we have that is very specific to doing a tribal consultation is the Title VI funds, which support the academic and cultural needs of our American Indian and Alaska Native students. And we always appreciate the participation that we get in these meetings, because it really helps us make sure that our programs align with what their priorities are, make sure it aligns with federal requirements, and we're glad we had participation there. It was actually the strongest participation that we've seen since before COVID, which was great. It was great to say. I've been in some meetings where it's just district staff, and so to have a bunch of community members and tribal members that were there was awesome. We also just wrapped up last week the 2026 STEM Fair, and it had great results. Really appreciate everyone who helped make the event possible. That includes our teachers who make up basically the board and put all the hard work into it. So that's the STEM Fair committee, the teachers from every school who put in the time, who push and poke and prod their students to do creative projects and submit them. My own son had a project that was there, and that was great. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Trustee Ballard's son did well at the event also. And so a really good showing from our kids, and huge thanks as well to the judges who donate their time and efforts, and to of course to all these sponsors and community exhibitors who give great prizes and awards for students for their hard work and support this great effort in our community. A full article with project details, the poster winners and sponsors is already available on our district website, and we will also be recognizing those winners as we've done in previous years at an upcoming meeting. And then the last event I want to make sure to talk about, I think I mentioned it last week, but it's happening tomorrow. I just want to remind you, is the Spring Creek High School Summit. Spring Creek High School Success Summit. And this is a first-time event, and it gives students a chance to explore all the opportunities available to them at Spring Creek High School and start thinking about the upcoming school year, with more than 16 community exhibitors that'll be on site, along with all the different departments and student clubs and organizations. All those incoming freshmen will have a great opportunity to see information about the different programs, activities, pathways that our students can pursue. It's designed for all students, from incoming eighth graders to seniors who are planning their next steps after high school, but it does serve very well to orient new students to the building, but it's not just for incoming ninth graders. It is beneficial for all students at Spring Creek High, and it will take place during parent-teacher conferences, and which is meant to strengthen that connection between families and the school, and supports our strategic pillar of family and community engagement, and also helps our students plan for the future, which is our first pillar also. So that event is happening, and I know you all have seen an invitation to that and a flyer for it. So if you can make it even just for a little bit, that would be great. And thanks to Spring Creek High School for doing a great job, and thanks to Heather Steele for helping coordinate some of that as well. And then on a similar note, just yesterday when I was at Elko High School, I saw, it wasn't a success summit like I'm describing, but it was good to see students from the high school leading students from the middle schools to orient them to the campus and give them a kind of the lay of the land, and helping them see what their future school is going to look like for them, and orient them to that building. It actually reminded me a little bit of different scenario, but if I remember, for our student board member who's sitting there at the end of your table, Mr. Andre, I got to meet Andre. Hey, Andre. I got to meet him the very first day of school when he was acting in his capacity as the leader of students at that school and helping orient them with the chants and everything they were going to be doing that year, and how to integrate themselves as members of the West Wendover High School community. These opportunities for kids to feel comfortable, to feel belonging, and to find something they're interested in and something that they can be engaged in at school is essential to their success. The more engaged you are, and the more opportunities you see for yourself, and the more you can see as a student how you can contribute and where you belong and fit, the more likely to be successful you are in your academics and in your other pursuits as well in high school. So thanks to the Spring Creek students and community for hosting this. Thanks to the students at Elko High and Andre at West Wendover High, and the kids everywhere who do everything they can to make their peers feel welcome at their schools. And that is it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any questions from the board?
I have a question about the discipline report.
Ask away.
Do the schools keep track of bullying in, like specifically, is it labeled that, like an Infinite Campus?
Yeah, so in Infinite Campus, there are and Emily can correct me if she works with Infinite Campus a lot more than I do now, but it is my understanding that in Infinite Campus, we have now delineated specific categories of behavior to both bullying and cyberbullying. So those can be pulled out separately in and of themselves.
I would like to see those when you
Okay.
have it.
Sure. I think those we can get you some updated numbers. When we did our cell phone update recently, we did have some numbers in that presentation that alluded to the cyberbullying numbers for this year, but we can have some bullying specific numbers for you at a future meeting.
Yeah, that would be great.
Anything further from the board? All right, thank you, Superintendent Anderson. We're going to move on to item 6.01. That's our NASB update. Trustee Neal?
I did speak with Rick about a template letter that I talked about, and he spoke with Tom Clark Solutions, and they have a plan kind of moving forward of not maybe a cut and dry template, but something that can be adjusted, because that doesn't always sit well with sending this to the legislative people. So they are working on that. I said I would check on that. And I did.
Awesome. All right, I will add that there is the breakfast with our legislature, and also a joint board meeting this weekend. So I'll be driving to Reno for that. And you know what I'll be talking about with the legislators. So hopefully we can get some progress there and work on getting some better funding in the next biennium. And that's all I have. Do you have anything for NASB?
No, I'll just be attending virtually on the Friday meeting. Me too.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll be there. If you have anything for me to take or whatever, let me know. Happy to facilitate that. Next, we'll move on to board member comments and requests for future agenda items. I'm just going to describe the item real quick because it's gone through legal and open meeting stuff. This is basically a part where you don't have to say anything, but trustees may make announcements, provide brief comments, or request that items be placed on a future agenda. No discussion among trustees or action shall take place during this item. Does anybody have anything for this item?
I just want to say thank you to West Wendover for being such awesome hosts, welcoming us and just making us feel glad to be here. This is an awesome place. We're excited to be here. Awesome job as a student board member. We loved having your input and your engagement. That makes a huge difference. Having students engaged makes all the difference to us. So thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. I was going to echo that or say something similar. Thank you very much to the community of West Wendover, Mr. Smith and your team. Thank you for hosting us and the respect and the friendship that you showed to us. We appreciate that. And yes, to our fellow board member or to our student board member, well done. Thank you for your eloquence. Thank you for being engaged. Even without having the full packet and everything that we prepare with, you still were able to hit some pretty solid hits and maybe even a home run or two. So great job. Appreciate your comments. Thank you for your engagement.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you, Mr. President.
Same here, thank you. Thank you for
Yes.
Thank you to student board member, and just thank you for showing us everything you guys are doing and what you work in. Thank you.
Yeah, same thing. Thank you so much for hosting us. It's great to come and to see all the different schools in our district and to meet with the people there. And so I just want to thank you guys for that. Thank you to the student board member. He had some great questions. I told him after he asked a question of Cassie, and she said it was on the next slide. I said, that was a good question because he's thinking and he's really looking at how this affects not only him and his class, but future generations of students. And I appreciated that question. I really loved the presentations. That's one of my favorite parts of being on the school board is seeing the students come in and give presentations and show us what they're doing at the different schools. And part of the things that we're working on as a district is preparing kids for the future. And I can see that happening, especially with the welding presentation that was given to us. Those kids, I can look at them and I can see that they're going to leave this school and they're going to be able to have successful careers. And that's huge. And so I just want to thank everybody that puts time and effort into students and helps them get to that point where, I don't even know these students and I can look at them and I can see that they're going to be successful after they leave high school. I also loved the presentation on the thinking classrooms in math. And I just think that there's so many benefits to working that way. I just wrote down a few of them. Where, I remember being in school, math was my favorite subject. And so I was the first to raise my hand to go show how to do a math problem on the board. There are a lot of kids that aren't confident in their math skills, and being up in front of everyone and trying to work through a problem can be really intimidating. And so having it in those little smaller groups where they can feed off of each other as friends and classmates and work through problems, I just think that's huge that, everybody can be participating and included in that. I also think it's awesome because if you have those groups done right, you can have kids that really excel, helping those kids that maybe are struggling a little bit. And I've seen that really benefit my own kids in school. I have a child that struggles through school, and when they do group projects like this, and he's put in with a really great group, those students have, this amazing opportunity to help their classmates out and help them through that. And I think that that's great. And a really good lesson for these students to learn as they are growing up. But also I just think about our students and their mental health and anxiety and different things like that, and having that type of a setting, like I said, where it's smaller, they can learn and develop and grow and figure out, like she said, it's safe to fail here and work through different things and have that anxiety level in their learning just kind of go down. So I just love coming out here and seeing the great things that are happening in Wendover and appreciate everybody who is working so hard for our students out here. I did want to say something about the science fair. It was really fun going and handing out awards there, or shaking hands there. And I just want to give a shout out to Hawaii. They really showed up to that science fair. They took home some of the biggest prizes, and they just really did incredible. They got a lot of the big awards, and they were recognized there big time. So congratulations to them. And then also the Corliers are in Nashville right now. The Elko High School Corliers are in Nashville right now, and they work those kids so hard. They 6 hours every day, they're in there singing. They're butts off, and they come in once a week for a practice of all the music, and they really put their hearts and souls into everything that they do for Corlears, and they're in Nashville right now competing, and so I just want to wish them luck, and hopefully they can bring home the gold this year. Last year, the girls brought home the gold, and the boys brought home the silver. I personally was there to watch it. I think the boys got gypped. I think that they definitely deserved gold, and I'm just wishing them the best. So, CJ, I know you're listening. Let them know that I am rooting for him from Elko, so from Wendover, actually. And that's it.
I wanted to ask something about the Mr. Hernandez brought up that mapping. I used it in student council because we have regionals in state, and our student what are they called, seniors are the leaders. So we're the ones like helping, like introducing the kids how to feel welcome, to get them to break out of their shells. And one of those games like that activity, it's not only can be used in an education state, but it could be used in a fun state as well. Like showing the kids how to have fun. Like for us, we did a Lego building competition where one kid can only use his voice, one kid can only use his hands, and the other one can only like have ideas down. And with the rest, they can communicate with each other, one person each. And it's like they gotta figure out how to bond with each other, because it's a fun activity. Because whether they fail or they succeed, they're still gonna have fun with it, like messing up and getting things wrong. And it's like it's a great opportunity for these kids to come together, especially now that everybody wants to be on their phone. Like my little sister, she's addicted to the tablet, and having like activities like this, it makes the kids socialize. It makes them be like, this is the real life, is connecting with the students around you, the people around you. That's what really matters. It's not being on the phone and staying on that. And so I hope if that can be implemented in anything, I think that's very important, because not only is it going to help middle schooler kids, elementary kids, but also helps high school kids to interact. Because my bad, I need to go on, but I feel like that's one thing that lacks in our high schools is to socialize. People nowadays are too scared to conversate with the person. Like, what's so bad about talking? Like, get out of your shell, go get in these activities. Like Miss Durham, I'm sad that she left, but she had one of those activities where she would make us get in the group. And yeah, it's like, oh, I gotta go talk to this person. But why not? Get out there, socialize. One person is on that. Get out there. And I think that should be really pushed, is to get these kids socializing instead of making, because I feel like we're so task-based. Like we come to school, it's like, here, you gotta go do first period, second period, third period, boom. But where's the fun in it? Have those little moments of enjoyment as well. My bad. Sorry for
No, yeah. I'll start my comment with the fact that ever since I met you out in the parking lot here a half hour before the meeting, it's been great today. You've been just amazing. So what a bright future you've got, man. I'm really happy to get to know you here. I want to say thank you to everybody here. As I look around, it's fun being in Wendover, because I usually am doing this in Elko. And I'm getting to know a lot of people, but I get to sit here and I look around and I see friends and neighbors, people I interact with on a daily basis sometimes. And it's just nice to have you out. And this honestly wasn't the greatest subject matter tonight, really, to be able to sit through all this and give your attention. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the comments that come in and the ideas and all of that. I just want to say thank you to Wendover as a whole, and from the school to the teachers, the students, everybody. It's been great today. So hopefully you can all see that we're engaged. We're trying to do the very best we can to figure this out. And there's a lot of talk that goes on with what's happening, and a lot of that is rumors or stuff that's passed around. And I appreciate you guys sitting around to really find out what's really going on and what we really have to deal with those 4 times a year where they're doing counts, and they may take money, they may give money. They're always taking money lately. And just know that we're, each and every one of us up here, and Dr. Byers too, is doing what we can to try and represent you guys best, to try and put our students in the best position to succeed, and to make sure that we have the things that we need to be able to move forward. And I ain't gonna lie, it's scary right now. I mean, every meeting it seems like something else comes up, and we gotta cut this or figure this out. Just know that we'll get through it. I know that this is a tough and resilient bunch of people up here, a lot of really smart people, and then we're gonna figure something out. We're gonna at least, do the very best we can to keep this district in the best position we possibly can. We do need your help. This is something I preached before, and I will again today. Let's get writing letters. We know who the candidates are now, and we know what we need to do to hold them accountable. We know that $2 more this year for each student, like 20 grand for the whole district, that's laughable. It's not enough. It needs to change. It needs to change in a positive way. I've said this before, I'll say it again here, that we're between 46th and 48th in the nation in school in per pupil funding. And just to get to average, if we were at 25th in the nation, would mean just for our district, right around $37 million a year. And as you see all these numbers we talked about earlier, that's what we need to fix that. I'm not saying you can just throw money at a problem, it'll go away, but we've got good people here. We've got great staff that are looking for solutions. And if they have the right tools, if we're able to get them the right tools, then there's nothing we can't accomplish. So, and speaking of which, I want to recognize FCCLA. I got a text from Ms. Blake. I saw it online too. I saw the Facebook post, but she said that they won every competition they were in except for one, and that 12 of the kids qualified for nationals this summer. And she was asking me, we've been doing that FCCLA day every year. And my answer is yes, Ms. Blake, we're going to do it again in April. So y'all watch for that. I'm not going to do details of that here during the meeting, but that's something we try to do for those kids to get them to nationals. So watch for that in April. I believe that's all I have. Is other than that, just to say thank you. And with that, I'm going to. Oh, you didn't have one. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I jumped.
I just want to say thank you as well. I don't want to say just ditto. But thank you, Wendover, for hosting us and for the presentations, for student welcome. Wendover always has a place in my heart because it gave me my start, and I'm forever grateful for this community. And I know your community, I see the pride that you take and with all your community projects. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Sorry about that. I swear I thought I'd come that way. No, we're good. I have a couple of public comments. We're going to move to the last item. Well, second to last. The last is adjournment, but last one is public comment, item 7.01. Same rules apply as before. I have two that I didn't read in before. So I'm going to go ahead and read those in right now. And I'll start with the first one from Heather Steele. It says, to the Elko County School Board District Board of Trustees and Superintendent Anderson, I'm writing to offer my sincere gratitude for your unwavering commitment to the students, staff, and families of Elko County School District. During these uncertain times, negative voices often become the loudest, but I want to assure you that a silent majority of this community recognizes and supports the difficult decisions you must make. I hope you know that you are receiving support daily from people in our communities across Elko County, even if it isn't out loud. We see the reality of the current dynamic. Many of us are deeply concerned by the personal attacks, the misquoting of your words, and the way your statements are often stripped of context to serve a specific agenda. Please know that we are not buying into it. We recognize that your title of board member / superintendent does not define your entire identity. You are also neighbors, friends, parents, educators, business owners, bus drivers, substitute teachers, and coaches, supporting all ages in our communities. You are the people we see working and volunteering for community organizations and events, entering our youth and supporting local organizations, giving countless hours of contribution to our communities. You often sacrifice your own time and profit margin to ensure our students and families have what they need to succeed. You exemplify living to serve and personify actions are louder than words. The health of our school is the heart of our community's growth. When our district is in turmoil, the entire community feels the impact. We appreciate that you do not take your responsibilities lightly, and that you remain focused on the long-term well-being of Elko County School District despite the noise. In closing, we see you, we hear you, and we thank you. We look forward to a time when our community can move past attacks and return to a place of collective support for our schools, students, and staff. Thank you again for all the positive impacts on our communities, each of you as individuals and collectively as a board. Heather Steele, CT facilitator and work-based learning coordinator for Elko County School District. The second comment I have it's formatted in a way, I'm just gonna read it. It says Dear Superintendent Anderson and board members, as a parent with children currently enrolled in Elko County School District, I'm writing to express my deep alarm regarding the severe financial emergency the district has suddenly declared. For years, our community has been told the district is navigating challenges with stability. We now see that while the administration was projecting confidence, the district's actual financial health was in a free fall. The new following evidence suggests that this crisis was preventable, that our children are not paying the price for a failure of administrative oversight. One, failure to protect the classroom experience. The district's revenue is tied directly to enrollment. Data shows we have lost approximately 1,000 students over the last 6 years, representing a $7 million loss of revenue. The parents' concern, despite this clear multi-year trend, the administration failed to adjust its central office spending or overhead time to prevent a crash landing. Instead, the emergency cuts proposed for 2026, including pausing textbook adoptions and reducing substitute teacher support, directly targets the quality of my children's daily education. Lack of transparency with taxpayers. In 2022, the district held a comfortable $11.6 million fund balance. To go from that surplus to $1 million deficit, if not more, by 2025, suggests a catastrophic lack of budget monitoring. The oversight gap. As a taxpayer, I'm struggling to understand how the board allowed expenditures to outpace revenue for 3 consecutive years without sounding the public alarm sooner. Our communities were led to believe our schools were on solid ground and the situation reached a breaking point. Mismanagement of capital and facilities, the failure to pass the $150 million bond and the loss of the pay-as-you-go funding stream have left our schools in disrepair. The result, we are now seeing creative accounting, where the district is forced to shift funds meant for classroom supplies to cover facility costs. My children should not have to learn in deteriorating buildings because the board failed to build the community trust necessary to pass a bond or manage existing capital responsibly. Impact on teacher retention. The board's decision to approve raises in 2025 without a sustainable long-term funding plan has created a bait and switch environment. The consequence, by mismanaging the budget so poorly that you must now consider $15 million in emergency cuts, you're driving away the high-quality teachers our children depend on. A district in a constant state of financial emergency is not a district that can attract and keep the best educators. The absence of a comprehensible future path. A responsible recovery plan should include more than just a list of what's being taken away. As stakeholders, we have yet to see a plan that outlines how the district will attract new families to reduce the 1,000-student enrollment drop, a roadmap for facilities sustainability that doesn't rely on failed bond measures, a commitment to protecting the classroom first rather than using it as a piggy bank for administrative errors, the evidence of haste, the proposal to consolidate flag. Okay, that's time on the letter. There's still some more, but there will be, this will be available to read in minutes from this meeting. And the name for the record on that was signed Daniel Miller, parent taxpayer, Elko County School District. Okay. And is there any further public comment from the audience? All right, hearing none, we will move to 8.01, adjournment of the meeting. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
For anyone interested, I'll be headed back to my place of business. If anybody